Warning, this podcast may change the way you think about business, entrepreneurship, and money forever. The Conquistador Podcast was created for dreamers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who want to conquer their future. To be an epic entrepreneur, you must adopt the right mental paradigms as well as master the art of selling, marketing, and finance. Now, it's time to welcome two serial entrepreneurs, leaders, husbands, and fathers who are passionate about sharing the strategies that are helping them excel in life and in business. Here are Mauricio Garcia and Hubert Humphrey.
Awesome Friday. I hope everybody is having today. My name is Mauricio Garcia with yet another episode here of the Conquistador Podcast. We have a very interesting topic to talk today, but let me bring in my friend, my partner, my mentor, Hubert Humphrey. Hubert, how are you today?
I'm doing great, buddy. Excited about the subject today. It's going to be great.
You know, to me is, I always say one of the most important topics is a very important one for me, being a new American, as you say, came to this country first in 1989 and went back to Mexico, came back in 1998. And I've seen the Hispanic market, growing. Nowadays, I think we're past 60 million. And I still, with that big of a number, I still don't see us with the proper representation on the political space. I look at all the CEOs of the S&P 500 companies, and it's about less than 5%. I look at the overall maybe wealth in comparison to the Caucasian. It's like 10 times less. I look at a lot of things, and how is it that having the same opportunity, because the opportunity is here for everybody, right? And that may be taken wrong by so many people because, yes, we're new Americans, the opportunity's there. But what is that we're not doing, new Americans, that we're not advancing? Maybe we're not in the right paradigm. We're not operating the way we should be. In other words, we come in here, we're doing the jobs, we're doing these manual jobs instead of the mental jobs of the I don't know how to put it, but I think you understand what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, well definitely the new Americans are where it's at. The future of America is the new Americans. It's the lifeblood. It always has been. Back from immigrants have always come over here from other countries, from Europe, from all these other different places that have come here, and the African American experience coming over here the way it came, while it was unfortunate some things that caused it, but they came to this country, and all of that makes up the fabric of this country, and today, I mean, I've looked at my business career. I owe a lot of my success to the fact that I've been able to deal with mostly new Americans in my business career. Back when I started in A.L. Williams in the South, and we're building here, and then I moved out west to open up the West and headquartered in Denver, and then expanded all over the West Coast, and really started getting into the Hispanic market, and then really hit big in the Asian market with the Vietnamese people and the Filipino and the South Koreans, Indonesians, etc. And then there were others, and then. The new iteration of what we're doing here today, we've got only those same people, but we've got a big piece of the Indian market out here. You mentioned a question. What is it that they're doing, whether it's the Hispanic market or whoever?
Let
me answer it here.
Okay.
Sure. As they're coming, it's all according to what business they get in. You mentioned that. Are they in the right paradigm? When they got into our paradigm, a high percentage of them have been very successful in our paradigm. Now, in another paradigm, they maybe they're not in the right paradigm. But if they can hear about the paradigm that we're in financial services, about building teams, the new Americans are perfect for it, especially the Hispanics. The Hispanics are very family oriented. They're very collegial. They're very patriarchal in their teams, and they look out for each other. They support each other.
Right.
I've been down to Mexico. I've been there. I met your parents. I know your family, and everybody's close knit. They take care of each other. If one person gets in business, the others want to make sure that they help them. It's just a way of doing business, and so that whole thing transfers up here. If you get into the right business, that becomes a great model of success for them. And not only is the Hispanic group the fastest growing demographic, then you look at the Asian Americans. They are the next fastest growing demographic. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden the Indian population, which is a part kind of like an Asian American, but they're kind of separate unto themselves, they're out there growing a tremendous demographic here. It's got 12 to 14 million people in this country. Plus you got the Americans. I don't want to leave us Americans out of here, out of our born and raised here for generations. We just got to act like new Americans. We've just got to get hungry as because you look at the attributes that they have. I think that's one of the most important things we can discuss today is what does the new American bring to the picture that has made it such a powerful force for good, say in an industry like I've been in all these years. Mm-hmm. Is they didn't come here to fail. They came here looking for opportunity. They're more hungry for a better way of life. They're willing to work harder. They play at meaningless things less than others. They don't waste as much time. They're more urgent. They're more intense. They're not trapped into the old 40-hour week deal. They're used to doing more. I mean, all those types of things are perfect for a business like ours. And so I tell people, and I'm not ashamed to tell them, I'd rather work with a new American than an old one any day. Now, I want a bunch of old Americans, but I know one thing, you got to get up and, I tell people all the time that I'm Caucasian, but several years ago at age 35, I knocked most of the caulk off and act like an Asian or Hispanic. I'm hungrier. I try to act like a new American, and that's the attitude that they bring, and that's why America was founded. There were no veteran Americans here when America was being founded. It was all by new immigrants. Mm-hmm. Everybody was new here from someplace, and that's what built America. Right. Well, that 200 and something years later, a lot of complacency is set into this country, a lot of entitlement and things like that. So I like the new Americans. And I love them in our business model that we're in today. They're perfect in it. They're the ones that are dominating this space going forward.
Well, that's what I want to get to, because obviously there's different values, the culture, right? There's differences in it. I don't know much about the Italians or the Asians or Indians. What I can speak for the Hispanics market, specifically Mexicans, right? Because not all Hispanics are Mexicans. And I know that when the Mexicans specifically that come to this country are not necessarily the ones that have found a way to make a good living in Mexico, if you know what I mean. And we come here and we work so hard, just like my parents come from a very small town. There was no opportunity. The job there was the farmland. You have to be in agriculture and raising cows and that kind of stuff. So and unless you went to the city and you got educated and got a career. But the point I'm trying to make is that when we come to this country, we come with this idea of, hey, I'm going to go look for a better opportunity. And what we do is we get into a vehicle called a 9 to 5 type of work. Would we allow to operate in a space where we say my time is only worth $9 an hour or $10 an hour or $15 an hour. And that's where most of the people that I see are operating under. And that's maybe because we're blindfolded, but we're not advancing. And that's probably, we're putting a lot of work, and we're very proud about how much we work, but we're just working in the wrong vehicle. is the wrong vehicle.
Well,
What is the vehicle? So the point here, so that I just wanted to say that as just kind of a reality that is going on. But what have you seen is different from, because you've built huge companies with the Asians, right? And at one point now the Indians. What do you see different between those demographics and the Hispanics as an example? And what similarities too? What are we not doing to have a much higher or more power, I would say, in every area?
It comes back to the culture you're coming out of, and not all Indians come over and become successful. Very small percentage of the Indians ever leave India and come over here. But the ones that do, the immigration of Indians to the United States it follows this vein somewhat. I don't know the exact percentages, but I guarantee you 95% of the ones that are coming over here, they're coming over here. They're usually well educated. They got a 1 or 2 degrees. From the time they were little kids, their parents worked themselves. Most of their parents were not successful, but they worked hard, knowing that they wanted their kids to have an education. They made sure they went to school, went to college, and that they tried to get them a good career. If they couldn't do it in India, they looked to the United States, and of course, with the technology boom over the last 10, 15 to 20 years, they focused a lot of them focused in that world, and have become the specialists and the geniuses in the IT engineering world, and they've come over here, and there's a big demand for those jobs with a big technology boom that's been going on, and so they were raised up. And it just happened to be that their education and their work ethic and all was just designed from birth. And now you're speaking about the Mexicans, which there's a lot of Mexicans that are born that have parents get them educated, and they become fairly successful, and they probably become the leaders of Mexico. They probably lead most of the businesses that are in Mexico, or people who come out of that culture. But the numbers are different. There's far of the people that are coming here. Wait a minute, of the people who are coming here,
It's almost the opposite.
Yes,
it's almost the opposite. And so when we come with such a limited vision and education also lacking, there is this thing called entrepreneurship. And that's really my belief, because when you get into entrepreneurship, you escape the limiting beliefs.
That's right.
You have to.
That's all that, Mauricio. To solve that, whether you're coming from Mexico, whether you're coming from Venezuela, like we've got a great new group that's from Venezuela in the last year or two, and they were lawyers and doctors and things like that in Venezuela, which was a pretty good deal for the Venezuelans. But it what didn't mean quite the same here. But when they got here, that didn't count for anything. They had to go back doing all manual different kind of works and look for different things. But they're hungry, and they've got 1 or 2 or 3 of them are leaders, are seeing the light and are leading a whole bunch of them over here. And so the answer the solution for you, for all these people that are coming from Mexico and Central and South America, knowing the condition they're coming in, it just behooves us to have more people that are leaders here, entrepreneurial leaders, and that can get with them and invite them to start out in a business like this, and that they can start and teach them a new skill. And this is a very learnable, teachable thing very quickly, and just help them. It's just going to take leadership to lead them over. You made this statement to me one time about three years ago when we were looking at how our Indian people were just exploding, and we were wondering when the Hispanics were going to explode. You said the difference between the two groups. This is coming out of your mouth now. You said the Mexicans were kind of coming up with hat in hand, meaning without very much. And the Indians were coming over here with a bunch of degrees and more of an entrepreneurial education already for a lot of them. and money, and that's the key. But that could easily be changed. I mean, it can be resolved.
Exactly, and that is what I want to get to. Sorry that I interrupted you. Is that exactly if we have the opportunity to have this mic here? Is that it doesn't matter if you came here without the degrees or without the money or without the connections. Is that we are in the same fertile land. So the things that have helped me is understanding communication. Really understanding business, definitely learning more about money and how money works. Get into the entrepreneurship thinking, because that's when escaping from the employee mentality into the entrepreneurship mind. Even if you're not immediately going to have, you're not going to become a millionaire overnight, but just changing those paradigms of being in business for yourself. And I always say, take advantage of the biggest benefit this country has to offer, which is the free enterprise, and then learning leadership. Those things over time can level the playing field, and we would have more people, like somebody who is a good communicator, who understands money, who understands business, could be, will be better prepared to be a politician, in my opinion. If you know these things, then you can go in business. You can identify problems and then go about finding the solutions and create businesses. Once you start on that road, it's just your mind takes a life of its own differently, and now you start looking at every problem now becomes a business opportunity, right? It's just identifying what makes it a good business. Leadership and all these different things are more, to me, more powerful than just getting a degree because you answered a certain test correctly. Just getting knowledge, like general knowledge. This is knowledge too, but it's the way that you are, a paradigm you are operating under with the knowledge that you have. It's not just to have knowledge, So you have an opportunity to level the playing field. Is what I'm saying.
Well, you do. Well, the way you got into business. Somebody took a little guy from Mexico that was just working in a factory, no bunch of college degrees, nothing, and put you into an industry, and it taught you a new paradigm. That needs to be replicated thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of times quickly for a bunch of people. And through social media, you're reaching out to the Hispanic people. Through our networking organic system, we're reaching out to the Hispanic people and others to bring them in. So we're doing our part, and those people that are out there that are listening that are Hispanic and are looking for a better opportunity, I think they need to come check us out, and we can do all we can do is do what we can do. We can't make everybody from any country come in here and be successful, but we can aim our model at a demographic and get as many as we can get, and hopefully it will multiply itself out and make a big change in their culture. And leaders become leaders who become leaders, and it compounds. And it's over a period of time. There's a shift in the thinking and the culture. That's what happens.
Absolutely. I mean, you're gonna get infected with this bug. Called entrepreneurship, positive thinking, understanding about money and everything. But whether you associate yourself with us or not, I just think these I just wrote them down, and I'm sure there's some more. But understanding how to communicate business, money, entrepreneurship, leadership, that does the things that are going to help us excel in this country. And
also, Mauricio, other demographics. The African American population is a pretty large segment of an ethnic group out there, and because Martin Luther King and other leaders worked hard and fought for social change, and the whole African American experience, while it's still got a ways to go in some areas, is far superior than what it was, but it's because leadership occurred, and it made a change there. And then women, look at the strides that women in in business have made.
Absolutely.
And now women are leading all these big companies and corporations, and any culture from any country, any gender, any ethnic group can be changed by leadership leading them into the right things that have to do with what you said a while ago, with their financial education and their technology and all the things that the experience they can get and opportunities, and it's out there. The biggest thing is to know that you can do it, and you don't have to come here and just settle for a job. And too many people, especially from Mexico and Central South America, are coming here thinking that the American dream is just to have a job. That's a fallacy that has settled in on this country.
Well, and look, it is a blessing, because a lot of people, including my family, my parents, were able to live. You know, we're not scarce. We didn't live in scarcity, I should say. So having a job for many is obviously a blessing.
Oh,
but there's so much more,
blessing,
right?
But that is not the American dream.
Right.
That's the American opportunity. But the American dream is you can go out and control your own future. Yeah, you can choose if you want to be an employee. There's plenty of places to be an employee. Or if you want to go out and be an entrepreneur, you can be whatever you want to be. So the dream is relative to what you want it to be.
And it is for everybody. I just want to give you just the numbers to wrap it up. Is at least for the Hispanic market is $2 trillion in GDP, $1.5 trillion in purchasing power. It's tremendous. 60 million. Just imagine that. 60 million. And it's having more babies than any other demographic. We'll approach 100 million in the next 20 years plus. 100 million. So guys, we've got to wake up, and we got to change the paradigms, because the country, the future, it's in the hands of the new Americans, just like you said, all new Americans.
Mauricio, on those numbers you just said, one of two things is going to happen with those numbers. What's normally been happening is that those are fantastic numbers, and a bunch of people that are not Hispanic, that are not from Mexico, know that. They know the same numbers you know. They know how big a market this is and how fast it's growing and having more babies. They know all that, and they're building businesses that are just benefiting tremendously from that. When all of that needs to be, could be controlled by the Mexicans themselves, or the Central South Americans themselves, as opposed to somebody else controlling it, and that's up to them. Those numbers are great, but who are they great for? Right now, they're great for somebody else who's taking advantage of them.
Exactly. So I think the message is there. Let's wrap it up for today. I do want to remind everybody that this podcast is made possible thanks to the sponsorship of Hegemon Group International. If you want to check out the best opportunity in the planet today, well, go check out HGIopportunity.com. If you want to learn communications, business, money, entrepreneurship, leadership, and reach that American dream that still exists, go check out Hegemon Group International's opportunity by going to HGIopportunity.com. Thank you so much for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, share, and follow in any of the platforms that you're listening to this podcast on. Hubert, have an awesome weekend, sir. We'll see you on Monday.
All right, see you. Take care.
Warning, this podcast may change the way you think about business, entrepreneurship, and money forever. The Conquistador Podcast was created for dreamers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who want to conquer their future. To be an epic entrepreneur, you must adopt the right mental paradigms, as well as master the art of selling, marketing, and finance.